You are listening to the Red Roots podcast.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I forgot to unmute my mic. So first thing I want to say before we get started, listener, if you're listening, we're starting something new this week. We're filming the podcast, and they will be on the YouTube channel, Red Roots Inc., something like that. The YouTube channel, you'll see the logo when you look for it, whatever it is. So if you would like to, for whatever reason, watch us do the podcast instead of just listening to us do the podcast, then you can find it on there. Yeah.
So people do that? Like, is that going to be any more entertaining than
I do. Like, there's some different radio shows that I probably would not just listen to, but I watch it. Mm-hmm. It's just, I mean, you're watching people talk, so you get to see their interactions and their facial expressions. It's completely different. You know, you see you see full communication or whatever. So you see body language and you hear their voice and stuff like that. So, but because there's a camera in here, you can fully expect Melinda to act different now. Look, she already looked at the camera when I said that. She's looking at the camera.
Well, here's what you mean. What do you think about? No, I've always struggled with the camera. Like, now I want to make sure my posture's okay. Like I told Simon, I polished my shoes, and like I'm looking at the camera now when I'm talking instead of you guys.
I said you could fully expect her, and then she goes. like she's gonna talk to the people. Like, it's just, it's a way to document and just film us as we're doing it. You can watch it and kind of see it. Like I said, it adds another level to the communication factor. So when I'm talking, I'm addressing you because I'm talking to you inside.
Yeah. I don't have to look at the camera.
Preaching. It's not a live stream preaching to your imaginary congregation. It's just exactly. Anyways, everybody good? Everybody healthy?
Yes.
Yep.
Except for I can't smell anything.
Yeah, well.
What?
Anyways, I'm not even. That is a clear symptom. Can you taste that?
I could taste my coffee, yes.
Well, we're
good.
Yeah, we're halfway there. Yeah, so here we're still in lockdown. I feel like I've been saying that for 3 months. It's because I have. Still in lockdown. Be honest, things are pretty bad here in our city where we live. I know a lot of people, it's not bad here, it's not bad there, and whatever. I don't know. Some people think it's a hoax. Some people think it's this and that. It's not a hoax. It may not be strong in your area, but that doesn't mean it's not a problem in other areas. In our areas, it's become problematic. There's quite a few deaths happening now, and it's a mess. There's not a lot of help at the hospitals, and they're actually there's another city that is offering to fly you, if you test positive, to fly you to their city for quarantine in a hotel there. And also if you have where you need to be hospitalized or whatever, they will fly you and take you to their hospital. Basically because here in Trinidad, everything's just falling apart so much. All the doctors have gotten sick and some of them have died. And the only urgent care, ICU, the only ICU doctor, he actually, that was in the city, he actually quit. It makes him sound like a bad guy, but they were overworking him. He's the only guy. They weren't trying to bring anybody else in, and he didn't have respirators or ventilators or whatever they're called to help people. So he just, for the safety of his family and himself, because he felt like he wasn't helping at all and he was being abused. So I don't know. You can say it's a bad time to quit, but it doesn't really matter about that. The fact is that he quit, and there's no one there. So a lot of issues here, a lot of issues. People that we know have passed away from it. So I don't know, just keep us in prayer. It's been declared a state of emergency. Trinidad is actually in a state of emergency right now, asking for help internationally and nationally, just pretty much anyone who can and will. Asking for help because, yeah. So with that said, our quarantine ends next week, supposedly, in 5 days, actually. Supposedly. It's a toss-up. I don't see how they can continue it, but I don't see how they can end it. You know what I mean? Like, with everything the way it is, I don't see how they can end it, but they can't continue. People are broke. And people were broke when we started this, right? But it's like cute broke. We don't have any money. Now it's like, not being able to eat and stuff like that. So I don't know. Actually, our church is going to, these coming days, I haven't told you guys yet. Our church in these coming days, we're going to for some different families in need, do what we can to try to get them some supplies, some oil, chicken, whatever, and buy them some stuff, and so kind of just help the community in any way that we can. I did tell you that, actually.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are with the whole situation. Again, don't want to. Anyways, I just don't want to keep going on and on about. It's just there's nothing. Just pray for us. That's all we can do is pray at this time, and just look for creative ways and stuff to be involved and to reach people and to serve people at this time. So, speaking of creative ways,
nice segue.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of poor actually, because this is no good segue from talking coronavirus to something else,
Yeah.
But anyways, like creativity. What we want to talk about today is social media and missions. Its effect, its usefulness, its the fight and the resistance against it. It's just all these things. So, social media and missions, and it's something that obviously we have used, and actually something that we find ourselves using way more now since the quarantine and all this started than we have ever used before. And I don't know. What are your social media and missions? Good, bad? Let's start there, I guess. Is it a good thing, bad thing, both?
Yeah, I think it's been one of those things that, as you said, everyone's kind of been thrown into it. So whether you liked it or not, it's kind of irrelevant now because it's just what everyone's doing. It's what you kind of have to do. And so I think, it's one of those situations where people are playing catch up, especially a lot of the churches are playing catch up, frantically learning how to use different skills, use different programs, different sites and media and whatnot, and how to best get their content out or their services or meet and things like that. And a lot of churches have found good ways to do it. It'll be interesting to see when churches go back in however long time, whether social media then takes a decline again or whether the churches are able to keep it up or what. So it'll be interesting to see whether it's people are seeing this as like a pit stop solution to this situation that we're in. We'll just use it now, and then when things go back, we'll abandon it again. Yeah. Or whether people are gonna say, okay, this could be a really useful tool if it's used right. Because I think ultimately that's what it is, right? It's a really useful tool if you use it. If you use it right. Yeah,
absolutely. And you're right. I think a lot of people are using it as a Band-Aid to, just get through the times or whatever. And then we'll go back to demonizing it like after, Yeah. But I think this virus has revealed a lot of things, just a reality of a lot of things. The reality of lack of healthcare in some areas. The reality of, we were talking last night, I think, about the reality of living in a third world country. There's a lot of things that are different from where we live here in the UK or United States, but like you get used to it and it's kind of like, it's not that bad, because it's not that bad. But then when something bad happens, then you feel the effects of like you see the real issues, right? So now we're seeing the real issues of the system is messed up and whatever. And so all these things are being revealed, but also what's being revealed is the language of social media. That is the worldwide language now. This is what people use. Whether we like it or whether we don't like it, that's what people are using. And I think at this point now, to be all in and dancing on TikTok and all this other stuff is one thing, but I think to go back to not using it after this, I think is foolish, because I think it's been been revealed to all of us that this is where the world is. Again, like you said, whether you like it or not, this is where the world is, and this is what we need to be using. This is where people are at. We believe in missions, so we go to where people are, and people are online. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that's all that you do, but I think at this point it has to be at least a part of what you do. If you're in some remote village or something, it's a little bit different, but if you're in any type of city or whatever, I think the time to resist has come to an end. And it's kind of like, in the States we have Blockbuster Video. We had Blockbuster Video, and we had, these different Toys R Us and stuff. And these people refuse to innovate. And like all the stores in the mall, they refuse to innovate and they refuse to reinvent themselves and to for lack of a better word, keep up. And they're dying. All these businesses are dying and not existing anymore. And it's not because they're not trendy or cool. It's because they refuse to speak the language of the culture of a society. And I think the church a lot of times gets in the same position, is we refuse to speak the language of a society because we've done it this way all the time, and we always would. I'm never going to, whatever. And then here comes coronavirus. Boom. And so now churches like, to be completely honest, as far as online stuff, we're flourishing. But that's because we have people that have used social media before. You probably use it less than any of us, but you definitely know, you know what I mean? You know, like you're not like, how do I create an email account? With your two finger, you know, you know, because we've had those questions. And at this time, we like people, how do you create an email account? And it's like, to be honest, it's absurd, you know, like, it's like, oh, good grief. Like that's something we should have been doing or we should have known or whatever. And so far behind it, I feel like that's been revealed to us. We've been kind of like, it should be a wake up call to be like, oh, this is something that, you know, is a great tool for ministry and reaching people and discipling, whatever, encouraging people, you know, whatever the case may be. So we should use this going forward. And they're just seeing like really how useful it is. But there's some people that are going to spend this whole quarantine trying to figure out how to make an email address, you know? And so when we come out, there's something else on another side, the other extreme of it, right? Is people are going to get used to online church, online encouragement, online devos, and are going to not want to go back and be a part of the body. And so there's obviously always a negative side to stuff and whatever.
Well, I think that those people are probably people who were already looking for that excuse.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's existed
Absolutely.
for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I can stay home and watch church, you know.
Yeah. And I think that'll frustrate a lot of leaders and pastors or mission, you know, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So go ahead.
You said something that like going where the people are, and isn't that like what historically what Jesus did, what the disciples did? They went to the gates of the city, or they went to the center of town, or they went to the mountain. They went where people were gathering, right? Yeah. And that's where they gave their message or taught their lesson, because it's foolish to go under a tree where no one is and there's a group of people over there. Like, who would do that? And I feel like that's what we do as a church sometimes. We're like, oh, they need to come to us. Yeah. And so we're not doing that, because those are things of the world. The worldly way of doing things is to go on social media. And so we try to avoid the look of the appearance of evil. For some reason, I don't know why we as Christians separate things as, oh, that is Christian music, or this is a Christian way of doing things, and this is the worldly way. But
I mean, because some stuff is like, there's extreme examples of that, right? Like, you know. Well,
yeah, for sure.
So, but yes, but I mean, so that's some people. That's why they separate, is because, you know, if a music's full of curse words or whatever, then, you know. But I know what you're saying, like, yeah, just making this really thick line when the line isn't as thick as we make it in some areas, right?
Right.
Like this Christian cable to this microphone, you know what I mean? Like,
or your clothes, you know, like those shoes. Why are you wearing Vans? Or, you know, just very superficial things.
Did you know that the rock star wears Vans and rock stars worship Satan? Like, wait, making these brushing, sweeping statements about, you know, just having a kind of a broken ideology. But it's a weird way to see the world, and it's kind of seeing the world as, like, I don't want to touch that, instead of seeing it as like a broken place where we're meant to go. It has to be dark in order for you to notice a light. And so if we're called to be a light, I mean, we're called to go into these dark places, not by ourselves. I think that's one, I mean, we're getting off here as usual, but that's one of the areas where we mess up on, is we like, oh, we're gonna be a light, and we go into the dark places by ourselves. But collectively, as a body of Christ, we're supposed to be a bright light in the city. And as the body of Christ, we move and exist in these areas of darkness, and we shine lights, right? And so social media, good. It's a tool. It's a good tool.
For sure.
So what are some ways that, what are some ways that we're using that now, I guess you can say, to make it, or what are some ways that, I guess, that we're using it now that you weren't using it before?
I mean, our Sunday devotionals are the obvious standout thing, I think. Now that, I mean, if every week we change the format of how we film them, and we're adding in, we're building things for them and making a 3-minute video, 17 hours worth of work.
It absolutely is. Absolutely is.
But each week, you know, I think I joked with you the other day. I said the moment that we find our rhythm and get it sorted is when quarantine will end. Churches will go back.
Absolutely.
You see the improvement each week when we're doing it, and the smoothness of it, and it is taking less and less time to record and get ready. But I think they're really hitting the spot that people needed. I think, you know, there's plenty of stuff going out, and there's like 20-minute sermons, 30-minute sermons, live streams of people's churches, and they're great. But in our neighborhood, in our city, in our congregation, people just don't have that much access to Wi-Fi. You know, I think we've mentioned that before. People have to buy their Wi-Fi. And so having a 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute live stream sermon just uses so much data. And now you're asking people to pick, okay, you either need to buy food or you need to buy more data so you can watch our 30-minute live stream service.
And send your offering.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I already sent it in when I bought that internet to watch it.
Yeah. And so just doing these 2 3-minute videos that, you know, they're still sending out an important message. They're still going to the point. They're still what people need to hear. We've had really good reaction off them and good feedback and just good interaction with them. Yeah.
I think we made a goal this year that we want to redeem or restore our reputation as a church. So there's on several different levels. And just being honest here, our church had a bad reputation in the community of churches here. I won't go into details, but we just had a bad reputation. Nothing sinful or anything. Just, you know, not active and, you know, just kind of slothful and that type of thinking or whatever. That's kind of the laughing stock, more or less. This year we wanted to restore our reputation in that and kind of rebuild our reputation. But also the church in general in Trinidad has a bad reputation in the community as of being kind of distant and uninvolved and dismissive, you know, a lot of things. And so on those 2 levels, we wanted to be able to kind of restore our reputation. And we had goals this year. We were going to do different things in the community and kind of start like the first steps towards community development projects and stuff like that. We were excited and whatever. And then this happens and it feels like it, you know, it all fell apart. But honestly, like you said, us having to use social media has actually, I feel like fast tracked us restoring our reputation among churches and in the community. So there's people that are Christians and non-Christians alike that now are like sharing and loving our videos and like, you know, responding or whatever, based just because it's a new face, right? And so we're doing these 3 to 5 minute videos, 2 to 5 minute videos. But it's interesting because we're able to write all this stuff. So we're like jam packing them with like these doctrinal ideas and thoughts. But because we're in Catholic world and we're also in like, you know, where everybody just preaches whatever the heck they want to preach. And so we're able to carefully craft these 3-minute videos jam packed with like deep theological ideas that point us all to Jesus, you know. And so through that, we've been able to really start to rebuild our reputation there's like, you know, there's some people that they not literally, but would basically laugh at our church before, and now they're sharing our videos and stuff. And, you know, and there's other people that were mad at the church or whatever, and now they're, you know, consistently following and sharing the videos and, you know, responding and interacting. So it's been really cool to see how God has taken our plans that we thought like were the way to do it, and because that's what we plan to do, right? And not made them, but like when it looked like that wasn't going to work, he brought up another way for us to be able to really to do one of the things at least that we wanted to accomplish this year. And it's not the be all end all by any means, but it is a surprising result of these videos. Is you didn't think it would have that effect, but they've had that effect in the community and just of people, the way they look at us and the way they see us as a church and stuff. And because we should be, like I said, a light in the darkness, not darker in the darkness, you know. We should be somebody that people at least respected. Even if you don't agree, they should be respected. And I think we've been able to do that through our use of social media recently, which is very interesting. That wasn't part of the plan. The plan initially was, I mean, we didn't know we were going to be out of church we thought it was going to be like 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. And we were like, so, yeah, you know, the first week we came in here, we put fans up because we didn't have fans in the children's. We haven't used them once because obviously we haven't been back. And so we were like, I mean, I think 2 weeks passed. We didn't have service. And then we were like, man, it seems like it's going to be for a little bit longer. So maybe we should just do some type of Devo or something that the people can see. And so it kind of started like that. And so the goal was never like, okay, we're going to use this to restore reputation. But we're trying to be faithful to the people and trying to love people as well. They're and respect their financial condition, knowing that they can afford to buy internet. So we don't want to use all their internet for the week on watching the video. Just trying to do that. And God took that little bit that we're doing and you can see it's multiplying it and definitely challenging, you know, different people and stuff. And it's obviously, you know, God and not us. I mean, it's very obvious in this. But it's been really cool to see, like, you know, something that we didn't do before. And we wanted it to do in the future, but we were forced to do it earlier. And something to be able to bear fruit like that and produce, again, accomplish things that God had put on our heart last year, right? To be able to do in a time when we're not supposed to be able to accomplish anything, you know?
Yeah, I was just trying to learn about social media and how to effectively use it as a tool. Since like before all of this, I was pretty much the only one like posting on our church's page, and I wasn't using it like we could have, like efficiently, you know. But and even we were watching a video of Pro Church Tools, and they have a lot of really helpful tips and advice for churches that want to increase their online presence. And one of the things that they encourage us to do is not to promote your ministry, but to do ministry online, and just saying, and I love that, like kind of use it as a measuring stick, that anything you post online should try to start a conversation and provoke spiritual practices. And that's kind of like the measuring stick for that I've been viewing it, like the lens I've been viewing is that these videos and whatever we've been recently posting has been starting conversations, you know, among people, and even among us, you know, and hopefully among other people. But most importantly, it's not just so that we could get a like. It's not so that our church will grow from little old church unknown to a popular church or even a cool church, but that people will start to see that it is not as difficult as we've as a church made it look to practice spiritual living, you know, how to practice holiness and to love God and to love your neighbor. It's not that difficult, you know. So in these 2 to 5 minute videos, you know, I love that there are actually teaching taking place. It's not an entertainment factor, you know, even though it is entertaining to watch you.
I mean, well, there's zero. I mean, it's zero entertainment. I'm sitting in a chair, there's no entertainment factor at all. It's just the things around it maybe are entertaining, like the cover pictures, which is interesting because ever since you started on the cover pictures, just taking the extra step. So we take a picture and we put it on like a picture of me before or doing it or whatever, and we'll put it on as a cover photo for the video. So when you go past, you see that picture, and it kind of has the title and has me on there, which is weird anyways. But like having that has made it like more people click it and want to see it and whatever, which has been very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you study any kind of marketing or branding for online, they just like 101. They teach you put your face, even though you don't want to. I mean, you know that you don't want your face on the stuff, but you're not gonna spend all week preparing a message, editing, recording, fixing the lighting, so no one will watch it. You want people to click it and listen to the message. That's the goal, you know. And
just excellence on our part, you know, just doing. If we're able to do something well, then we want to do it well, you know. And so yeah, that's the thing. I think. Now, we just had a meeting this week or last week it was. So we just had a meeting last week with the 4 of us. There are 4 of us in here. It's me, Simon, Melinda, and then Rudy's in here as well. He obviously doesn't talk because he doesn't speak English. But, we had a meeting about, okay, so this is long run, kind of coming to that. Because we've been doing stuff. We're like, okay, how can we be more intentional about just kind of building on our use of social media? And like you said, not using it just to promote our ministry, come to our church, but using it to do ministry, to kind of challenge people's way of thinking and challenge for the glory of God, obviously, and towards the gospel, and challenge people in their beliefs and the way they live, and challenge non-believers too, and their perceptions and prejudices of church and Christians and stuff like that. And so we had that meeting, and all of a sudden, like, we got so much stuff to do, but it's awesome. It's exciting. Like we do the Sunday videos. It's like a short devo, like Simon was saying, 3 minutes. Then we do it's like a podcast. And this week's just has a lot of camera angles. Just trying to do stuff. And there's probably too many camera angles, but whatever. We're going to use them because we do. And so that'll actually come out tomorrow. But it's like 30 minutes, I think. I mean, we just had a long chat about, and we chat about secondary issues mostly. I think the devotions and Sunday stuff is primary issues. Jesus, but these chats are things that we probably won't talk about much on Sundays. But, they're bigger conversations that happen and have different, I can't remember what we talked about this time.
What is the church? Why do people go to church?
Oh, yeah. Why do we go to church and stuff like that? And what's the importance of going to church and stuff? So we had that conversation. And the first one we talked about walking in faith or fear or wisdom or foolishness. And this time it's a very important canceling service, not canceling services, continuing, not continuing. And obviously there's no one answer for everybody, but we just kind of approached it and talked about from our perspective. And so those are Wednesday videos. We have a TikTok account now next week. Are we doing?
I think so.
So so next week that's right. Next week we're gonna start putting videos on there. There's a lot of young people in our area, a lot of young people that come to church, and young people are on TikTok. So can't go to their houses, so we'll go to TikTok. I think we have like 20-some TikTok videos already ready to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we want to be ahead because otherwise we're gonna be on the dancing and stuff. Like, what else we put up today? And you have to be consistent with TikTok. You can't just put something up once a week and expect, people to see it. It's just algorithms are different. Anyways, so we're doing the TikTok things. Instagram, we have an Instagram as well, and we're doing the videos on Instagram. But we're gonna do content for that. Working on interactive content for all these things. We're also we're trying to get a way for people to thinking of creative ways for people to get into the Word and kind of get in a habit or something of whatever way we can to get them to get into the Word. And we had some conversations and we have seen some things done, but not in it doesn't exist in Spanish in the way we want it. And so we're doing like it's not an audio Bible, but it is an audio Bible, but it's not like it's literally audio Bible. But we're doing like just different readings, and so we're gonna have different people from the church read a book. So we're starting with Philippians because right before all this ended, we were talking about unity in the body and stuff like that, and Philippians obviously talking about that. So Rudy's going to read that. So we'll do it chapter by chapter. So Philippians 1, that'll be one video. But it's just going to be audio. We'll just put a cover on it, and you can listen to it on YouTube, or we can send you the audio or whatever. And then Philippians 2, 3, 4, Rudy will do all those, and I'll have music behind him as he's reading it, kind of like lo-fi music. You may not know what that is, but it's like a kind of a low-key hip-hop study type music or whatever. And so we'll do that, and we have a couple of those planned. And so the beginning will be an introductory thing to the book. So we're doing like, it is an audio Bible, but it's a long-term project, because it's not going to be like, we're going to be done in 3 months, audio Bible. No, it's going to be a lot longer than that. But just to get people listening to and in the, in the Word, and like listening to Philippians 1 while you're washing dishes. And
in a kind of engaging, entertaining way too.
Absolutely.
It's not in a way that's going to put you to sleep because it's so calming and like, oh yeah.
And some people will say, well, it's not the same audio Bible and reading it. Well, that's maybe true. It's not the same. But the way these letters were written, they were written to the church in the area. And so the letter would get there, and a person would take this letter and they would read it to the congregation. Sorry, I almost hit you in the face. Sorry, I almost hit you. And so they would read it to the congregation. And so, and again, I'm not saying reading your Bible is wrong, but I'm saying this is how it was originally read as well. So we can't knock that and say it's bad because it's something new, which is kind of the center of this whole conversation. And so as you're washing dishes, or as you're sitting on the couch, or as a family, you can sit, hey guys, we're going to listen to Philippians 2 tonight. We listened to Philippians 1 yesterday. We're going to listen to Philippians 2, and we're going to have a conversation about different things. And then we're going to text Ramon via WhatsApp and ask him a bunch of questions, which is fine. That's what we want, right? Is like, and so we're doing a bunch of stuff with all kinds of. We're using the little recording booth or whatever. It's not a recording booth. It's
It is now.
Yeah, it is now.
Stolen it.
Yeah, it's not being used. So we got this little booth the hospital has, and they're letting us use it. And so it's like soundproof, whatever. And so doing that. Melinda's doing some singing covers and worship stuff. So so you can have worship in your home. And just be able to worship along with the same people that you worship along with regularly on Sundays, and just really having a victor's mentality instead of a defeatist mentality. Oh, we can't have service. Okay, we've gone through that, right? We had so many plans for 2020. We've gone through that, but what can we do? Yeah. And really looking at that, it is not the same as meeting together. That's just the truth. But we can't meet together, so why are we going to continue to beat that dead horse when what can we do to reach people in this time? And so we have all these things that we want to do and that we're doing, actually. So super exciting time, super busy time. Simon's been working on a lot of like some different of who the disciples were for TikTok. 1 minute is what you got on TikTok. So trying to figure out ways to like get this message to people who are on TikTok in our area. Other people can hear it, but it's specifically for people, in our area that we know aren't reading their Bibles and don't know much about the Bible and stuff. And Instagram content. We've basically literally turned into a media company, at least for now, and then we'll probably continue with all this media after. But so it's been exciting. It's a great tool for us to be able to use and stuff. I think I know that everybody doesn't have the capabilities to be able to do all this stuff, and again, I understand everyone's not going to be on TikTok and whatever. But man, I think it's just being revealed in this time that these are tools, And it's not just tools for quarantine, kind of like you were saying. These are tools to reach the culture.
Yeah.
Like this is how we reach the culture. This is where the culture is, and you can go in the middle of these stages, and in creative ways, you can preach the gospel. And because we say, oh, well, we don't do it that way. It's not. It's about it's the content. It's not the form. It's what you're saying. You know, what are you saying? Are you changing the message? Are you changing the gospel? No, that's off. We don't do that. But like I don't know. You can preach while you're dancing on TikTok. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong to do that. You know. And so just being creative in ways to be able to reach people, which is what we should have been doing all along, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, this has been like a wake up call, and it's pushed us into doing something that we wanted to do, but we weren't doing. And maybe we didn't realize that we could do it yet, but it's just because there was no push, you know what I mean? And so we got pushed, and we realized like, oh, we can do a lot of stuff, you know? We have microphones, we have computers and sound systems and cameras and lights. I mean, we have a lot of equipment to be able to do a lot of stuff. And if we don't have that, then we have cell phones. Yeah. And so there's really no excuse to be able to be doing some type of content now. Yeah. And so yeah. Do you feel like it has been a resistance? I mean, I know the answer to this already. Towards using social media, and just in the Christian community, not even just in missions. In missions, yeah, but in the church as well. Like, do you feel like there's been a resistance?
During this process? Or
No, just in general. Uh-huh.
Yes, yeah. I think there's I mean, you obviously can see the churches that disagree with that because they're thriving in their social media presence. But historically, the church has been resistant. And I just think it's because it's not necessarily that we found ways that it's ungodly, but just because we're not equipped. We haven't been equipped for it. And still, even today, where a lot of churches are putting out content on social media, they're still not equipped. You know, you have the pastor doing the TikTok videos, or you have the worship or youth pastor or worship leader or children's leader editing the videos. It's like everyone's just kind of coming together to figure out how they can help. So without a specific person in charge and who's properly equipped to do it, I think churches are just like, well, who's going to do it? Why would we do it? Unless it's an urgent need, we're just not even going to worry about it. That's not what we do. Like almost like the missionary says, I don't evangelize, or almost like the children's pastor says, I don't do worship leading. You know, it's kind of like that is not my role, and we don't have anybody to fulfill that role, or we don't have the funds to hire someone to fulfill it and do it well. So we're just not going to do it. So.
Yeah, and like. I just think a lot of people are just like, we've never done it this way. Yeah. This is not, we don't do that. Oh, I miss the good old days. The original, when real church. When was real church? Oh, 1975. No, that wasn't real church. Like real church is in like 30 something AD. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's real church. So if you want to be real church, then you go meet in a house and you put your dress on that they used to wear back then. And you do all that, take your shoes off, put your sandals on, and you got to do all that stuff. You want to be real church. But sometimes we idolize our time, and so when anything is done different, then we demonize it and make it wrong because we just don't want to adapt, and it makes us feel uncomfortable. We don't know, we don't understand. What this TikTok? I don't know TikTok. You're like, okay, that's great. However, like this is the language of the society, and I think if you get to that point, then maybe you should start, and you just refuse. Not to be on and do TikTok, but at least open to somebody in your church using it and reaching. Yeah. Then I think you probably need to start the process of, what is it called? When the person that you trained up to raise you kind of takes your place. Because you're just going to kill it. You're just going to kill the church. Yeah. Because we're not going to conform. No, you're not conforming. You're not conforming. You're transforming through a tool the tool that you can use to reach people. And so
I think some people also think that it's either one or the other. Like, you either read your physical Bible or you only read your cell phone the Bible on your app. You know, it's like, so we're not going to encourage Bible app reading because we want people to use their physical Bibles. Like, well, there's room for both. You can bring your app, your phone, to church if you don't want to carry your Bible plus your wife's Bible plus your children who take their Bible to children's church, whatever. You don't want to carry it in and out. I'm not trying to make it like it's a burden to take your physical Bible to church because I'm a fan of it. But you can do it can be either or. It's not replacing.
We make it better. We make it like one is better than the other, or just the pages and blah. This is the original. It's not the original. When Jesus was going to, like he was pulling out the scroll of Isaiah 53. So he's rolling out the scroll and stuff. He's not, he doesn't have his little bookmarker. What's that little cord that comes in your Bible to mark your places? Like he doesn't have that. Does that mean that a paper book Bible is bad? Absolutely not. It's great. It's a great tool. And what was the reason for that? It was innovative in the sense that it put all the books together in a way that you could carry it anywhere you went. Right. That's super innovative. And now what they've done is they've innovated more. Is you can carry not just your Bible, but you can carry all your commentaries, different versions of the Bible. You can carry it all in your pocket now. You don't even it's hands-free. And it doesn't mean that the scrolls are wrong or that we shouldn't use scrolls. It doesn't mean that the physical Bible is wrong and we shouldn't use physical Bible. But it also doesn't mean that, using your cell phone or your tablet Bible or computer Bible is wrong when it's literally the same version, word for word, whatever. It's the same thing. And so it's like, I just think we focus on the wrong things, and it's because we love so much our period. And we're going to get to that point when we get older where we're going to be like resistant to, I don't understand these kids. And like, it's not like, how they're wearing their hats on backwards, let me put my hat. It's not that, but it's just understanding where they're at and allowing them space to be able to be themselves with that while staying true to the gospel. Yeah. And when we're talking about sin issues, that's different. But we've made these cultural sins to where now using Facebook is a sin. It's not a sin. It's just that we're uncomfortable with it. And so now we're creating a completely different issue about me being God, and really idolatry of me making you conform to my ideologies and my ideas and my comforts is really what the issue is. And so now, we're full-blown idol worshipers at this point just because, we don't like something. And it's just, it's silly, and I think... Yeah, it just holds us back, and there's a lot of dying churches that have that mentality.
Yeah, I think there's two more things I'd add on to that. I think one of the pushbacks is, and I've been guilty of this, and we've been having these conversations over the last week, is you see other people use social media. So let's take TikTok, for example. You see big churches or other churches that you don't necessarily agree with, or you don't really like them. And so, you see the way that they use TikTok, and you just think, I'm not gonna use TikTok because I don't know the way they use it. And some of those thoughts are fair. Like, I don't like going on TikTok and seeing a pastor get out of a Lamborghini. I don't think that sends the right message at all. I think that's a sinful way to use TikTok. Does that make TikTok sinful? Yeah. And I think that's a lot. Trying to have that mentality and trying to distinguish. Okay. Just because I don't agree with the way that someone's using TikTok, and I don't agree with the way that church is outreaching using TikTok, doesn't mean that I just slap banned over TikTok and say, no, as a church, we're not going to use TikTok because that church uses TikTok and I don't like that church. I don't think that's the right way of looking at it. Instead, it's looking at, okay, that church is using TikTok. They're reaching millions of people with a message that I don't agree with. What if we use TikTok and reach millions of people with a biblical message? Yeah, absolutely. So instead of just saying, okay, we're not going to do that, why don't you try and use it in a way that is godly and is sharing the gospel and is portraying the right images and things like that. So I think we're very quick to, as soon as we see someone we don't like using something, just labeling that whole thing as cancel it, push it off the table. Yeah. Another thing as well, I think, is one, and like you were saying with the Bible on the phone and the Bible in paper, one doesn't replace the other, and TikTok doesn't, like making TikTok videos and outreaching via TikTok doesn't replace community outreach. And then community outreach doesn't need to replace TikTok. They can work hand in hand. Absolutely. So when things go back here, and we're able to do gatherings again, and we're able to get back out in the streets, we'll continue doing TikToks, but we'll also be doing the community outreach that we had planned to do last year and that we plan to do for the foreseeable future. So I think, some people might look at it and go, why am I trying to reach people in another city via social media when I can't even reach my neighbours? Well, you can do both. Absolutely. You can reach your neighbour. We're called to both. Yeah, absolutely. You can reach your neighbour, but we also have this incredible tool now of social media where we can also reach people in other cities. So all of a sudden, if you have it might come down to us as well, but if you have students, 16, 17, 18-year-olds who have grown up in your church, now all of a sudden they've gone to another city to study, they can still stay in contact with your church via social media. They can still stay up to date with what you're doing. They can still see your services. So there are different ways to use it, but it does. Just because you're now doing things online doesn't mean you stop doing things in your community.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, we're called to missions and evangelism. Evangelism is reaching people where you are. Missions is reaching people where you aren't. And I'm not, again, social media does not replace missions. However, if we are able to, with the gospel, challenge somebody via Instagram or Facebook or whatever, not so that they'll move and come to our church in Trinidad, but that they begin to really think like, man, am I a Christian? Am I a believer? I want to know Jesus. Let me find a church in my area, because we do this for the church, not for our church. It's for the church. And that's the difference between promoting your ministry, like you were saying before, is we shouldn't use it to just promote our ministry. We should use it to do ministry. And when you do ministry, you don't care which church gets the credit. You care that God gets the glory.
Yes.
And so if this person that lives in Santa Cruz, or if they live in Colombia or Belize or wherever, if they can watch any of our videos and it drives them to confessing their sins, He's faithful and just to forgive us of all unrighteousness, and they give their life to Jesus and they go and join the church, mission accomplished. We don't, but I think we're so addicted to seeing results though, that we don't want to do all this other stuff, because I don't get to see any results from that. But we're sowing seeds, man. And we're not the one that, it's a team effort. This farming of Christianity, or of cultivating, is not just a one person thing. And we've talked about this recently, is we want to see Trinidad, where we live, we want to see it change. But we're also not arrogant enough and not stupid enough to think that Trinidad can change just if we're the only ones doing something. And so we're trying to motivate and lift up other churches so that they too don't have to believe every single little thing that we believe, but we can all, for the glory of God, be working in our areas and to lift and promote all these different things, and so that Trinidad can be uplifted, so we never find ourselves in this position again with no ICU doctors and with no all this other stuff and just ridiculousness. This should wake us up as a church and be like, okay, we need to reach people anywhere possible. And like you said, not replacing our local focus for an international focus or whatever focus, but also like in our, definitely we are where we are, but definitely also if all you have to do is do what you always do and be like this and hold the phone in front of your face, why are you not doing that? I mean, it's just, I know some people it's strange or hard for them to do, but why are we not doing that? Why are we not reaching? And again, I can't say it enough. Not saying forget about our neighborhood and whatever. We are the biggest neighborhood group of people that that's all we ever talk about. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that. So by no means am I saying, it's too small. No, by no means. We are absolutely physically present and active here. But definitely if we have a message that is for everybody, then let's give it to everybody. He who has ears, let him hear it, And so I think for us, that's our approach to using this stuff. It's like, well, what is a person in Spain? Why are you preaching to them? They can't come to your church, but they can go to a church. It's not about people coming to our church. It's about people getting to know, meeting Jesus. It's about people repenting of their sins and following Jesus and giving their lives to Him. That's what it's really about. And for us, that's what social media use is about for us. And I think and you see it a lot of missions as well, is like, oh, I don't do that. And I get, but it's what you said. It's like, I don't do that because I see these young kids doing it and whatever. And TikTok is the great example that we've used a million times today. But it's because there's young people using TikTok and there's a lot of dances and there's so many people like, I don't get on that. That's for kids. But yeah, we're not talking about being entertained by dances. We're not here to entertain or be entertained. We're here to share the truth and for transformation. We're not here to just be inspirational. We're here to be transformational. And so when we show up in any place, whether it be on TikTok or whether it be in the town square, then we need to be there as a transformational agent in whatever it is that we do. And we can do that now via technology, via Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, blah, blah, blah. There's way too many for me to keep up with. Twitter, whatever. You can speak. You have a stage all the time, and you can speak to the culture. You can speak life into a dying and hopeless culture, especially in times like this. In times like this when people are so hopeless and they really don't know what to do. Man, we should be speaking up. But we've used our platform, we've abused it, and the people that do use these things have abused it so much before, and they've said different things about what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, or like, I declare this virus dead. That was a big one that was happening here, is a lot of pastors came up and declared that the coronavirus is dead, and they used that platform for that, and here we are 2 months later, and there's more deaths than before. People declared that it wasn't going to touch, and they prophesied it wasn't going to touch Benny, where we live. Trinidad, Benny is the state or whatever we live in. It wasn't going to touch it, and it didn't for 40 days or whatever. It just took a long time. And when it got here, we have the second highest amount of cases in the whole place. And so now instead of saying, you know what, I missed it, I was wrong. Like now they're quiet and they back up. And so they're just, they don't want to say anything because they were wrong and it's not happening. And Rudy sent me a meme actually about like, it says, I'm not going to say names, but it had a preacher and he's like hiding behind the curtain. And it said, waiting for coronavirus to be in so he can go back to having his healing services. And it's like, not that we don't believe in healing, but it's like, okay, well, this is the time, this is the moment. But what you've said and what you've been doing hasn't come to pass. So you go in hiding, and that's not what it's supposed to. So you see it abused too, right? You see people abuse it, and I think because of that abuse, it pushes people towards like, oh, I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to do it. Oh, we're not going to do it. We're not like them. But this is the time to step up on that stage and be like, oh, no, we're going to speak truth. Yeah. We're going to tell the truth about it. And we're not going to attack this guy or that guy. It's not about that. We're going to speak truth. We're not trying to call out all the liars and whatever. It's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to speak truth and shed light because people have questions. People that were amening when they declared it dead, and these are all good intentions. We declared it dead and blah, blah, blah. Amen, amen. And then people are like, man, they're confused. This is what we talked about Sunday on our devotional. They're confused now. It's like, because, well, what do I do? Because they declared it dead and it didn't work. And so they're kind of like, and it's your chance to step up and talk about that James 1:2-4 and that Romans 5:3-5. Whenever trouble comes your way, count it all joy. God is growing you. Your faith is growing so that you can produce more results in the kingdom. You can be more fruitful and your faith can be more stable in him. And any storm that you go through, you won't let go because you've already been through a stronger story. That's the whole point, is to be stretched and whatever. We need more people speaking up with the true gospel message of that. And that's not, and so when we say, oh, I don't do that because Pastor X does that or Y, Z, whatever, they do that, we're also missing an opportunity to step in and share truth with people who are really looking and are really curious and confused about what the truth is,
Yeah, sure.
I think as well, on this, not really the abuse side of things, but I guess a difficulty that social media can bring to missions is misinformation being shared and going back. So, for example, when the elections last year happened and all the scandals came out and the country went into riot mode and things like that, one of the UK politicians, big name Jeremy Corbyn, who was the leader of the opposition party at the time, he came out and tweeted that his support was for the Prime Minister and that it was a military coup and that the people had just pushed him out and things like that. Obviously, he's just completely oblivious to the whole situation, what was actually happening here, and he just thought, okay, I better tweet it out, and then all of a sudden I have messages from people being like, well, I heard that you kicked him out or that the military took over, and it's like, no, that isn't what happened. And so it creates that dynamic as well of people who aren't in the situation all of a sudden really feel like they're the top person, like, oh, I'm really in the know on this whole situation because they've read 4 tweets. Yes, like,
literally.
Actually,
but he had a blue check next to his name, like, so it had to be true.
So that creates just another interesting for missions, especially dynamic of that, people following you via social media and things.
There's like the situation here in Trinidad is bad. They're not going to deny that. However, you definitely see people using it for their own, just for attention, I guess, to be a part of something, and even overblowing it. It's kind of hard to overblow right now, but somehow people are still managing to do so. Like they had somebody posted a thing, and it was like a quote unquote prayer, and it was like there was a graveyard, and it showed all these souls like going up, and it was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like these souls going up, and it's like Trinidad or something. And I was like, guys, this is not, it's overblowing something for your own gain or because whatever your motives are, to get attention or to get sympathy or whatever. I just, I always undersell what's going on here because I'm not selling anything. You know what I mean? And I don't want to, I live here. These are my friends. These are my church family, my neighborhood, my neighbors, and I don't want to prostitute them out just so that we can get $1 or get more money. So I'm not going to go taking pictures. We always talk about promoting dignity and stuff, and I'm not going to go taking pictures of people on their deathbed just so I can send it to the States and say, oh, look how bad it is in Trinidad. And maybe I should talk more about it, but I don't feel, because of that very thing you said, is just creating this wave of reaction for one way or the other of and then I don't know. It's just it kind of irritates me, obviously.
I personally struggled before with social media, because I was always afraid of being the one to spread misinformation, thinking in my wisdom and knowledge I was sharing something really deep, and then it's like, wait a minute, that is so off. Delete that. But someone's already read it, and how did that affect that person? Or on the other side is being afraid to confront a lie with truth, not calling someone out, but taking on the responsibility of correcting false information, false doctrine, out of love, right? And in fear of not wanting to offend the person who said the wrong, incorrect thing. And so, I mean, Roman used to always tell me, he's like, the gospel itself is offensive. Like, if you're doing the opposite of what God calls you to do, it's going to offend you, it's going to hurt you. And so if you're speaking truth, it's going to offend somebody. You're always going to offend someone. And it's like, that's supposed to be freeing, but it's not. It doesn't help me. Now I know whatever I say, I'm going to offend someone.
And like, you're right. And we didn't use social media a lot in the beginning, and anything that we did, because of fear of misrepresenting, right? Misrepresenting the situation or the people that we love and care about. So we really didn't. I mean, for years, we barely shared anything on social media. I mean, compared to what we should have been sharing, because we honestly, and like, there were times we were accomplishing a lot of stuff, but we just weren't sharing. Like, God was really working it. We just weren't sharing with it on social media because a lot of stuff was private and personal, and you don't want to exploit people for raising money. Oh, send us more money because look at what God. And so we're just silent. And then we came to the conclusion where we kind of like, okay, well, people need to know what's going on, but we just need to figure out a balance, because it was extreme right and extreme left, and it was like, okay. Or either we just felt like it was either oversharing and just damaging the people's dignity, which it definitely can be, and you see that a lot, unfortunately, or not sharing. Those are the two options for us, and it was like, okay, guys, let's get this together and find a nice middle ground where people are still, dignity is still being restored and promoted, and we care about people. But at the same time, we're sharing to supporters and potential supporters, like, hey, this is what God is doing in Bolivia, and it deserves attention in that sphere or whatever. It's a very fine line to walk, because but there are still a lot of times where I just won't post it. I won't post stuff because it's like there's no way I can say it and then then I go back and act like this person was my friend or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's something in private or whatever, and like, I don't know. It's still something that I struggle with, but also understand that this is something we need to use. Again, this is where people are. This is where people, and then too, like, just being honest with all the craziness going on. I mean, your guys' political situation is a mess. Our political situation is an absolute mess. The one in Bolivia is here, which is our political situation again, is in an absolute mess. And so it's like there's all these just like hate and whatever, hate in the name of Jesus, of course, but name calling and mocking and mimicking. Like, your post about something about children's church or about church or whatever is a bright spot in the middle of that. You know what I mean? It just gives somebody something else to think about and to focus on good things, something good. Because you go to your timeline and you just see name calling and you see this, and I'm not saying ignore issues, because we need to confront issues. We definitely believe in that, but it definitely provides a bright spot for people to smile or to be happy or to give thanks to God in the middle of their, political war with their friends or ex-friends now or whatever. You know what I mean? Just kind of bring your attention back onto why we're here. It's through the work of God, and so I don't know. I think it can work in that way as well. Just being, again, it is being a light in darkness. Unfortunately, sometimes that means even in the church, you're a light in the darkness, voice of reason, where there's only unreasonable thoughts or whatever. So I don't know. So yeah, I guess, see, this is what happens when y'all just done talking, y'all just stop talking, and then like I'm left to like fumble, like oh yeah, like I gotta jump back on around.
We can do a new thing now. We can all turn to the camera when we're done.
I read a quote that says, "Wise people speak when they have something to say, and fools speak because they want to say something."
I guess I'm a fool then.
But
I only have to speak because all the wise people
have nothing to say.
Just sit here, a silent podcast. Just sit here in silence with wind blowing in the microphone or whatever. For Jolie and Jalen to be on the next episode. No, I think it's a good talk, a good thing to think about, and definitely challenge ourselves, because this isn't us like, yeah, you need to use social media, because this is us talking to us, saying like, yeah, you need to use social media. We've had this conversation. I mean, I've talked to Simon about using social media more, but like even in that, like not just using it more, but using it as a tool, for the gospel and whatever more. But then for me, like I haven't used it as much as I should. I mean, now recently, again, because we've started stuff with the church or whatever, but we're just really starting to step into it. So it's not like we're professionals and telling everybody like, hey, you need to, like, it's not that at all. It's honestly, for the person that says, I don't want to do that, I feel you. Like, I don't, like, I don't want to do it either. Like I when I do the videos on Sunday, I'm getting used to it now. But I'm like I don't want to do it. I don't want to mess up. Am I going to look weird? Am I this is so many things. Is my Spanish going to be off, or am I going to mess some Spanish word up, which I have done, and say a curse word on accident or whatever, which I have done, not on the videos, but in real life. Like there's so many different things. I don't want to do it, but it's not about me. And if this is a tool, if this is a door that God has opened for us to reach more people for his glory, not to be cool and not to give offerings and, none of that stuff, not to get more likes and follows, but like just to get the word out and to encourage people and to really point people to a God. Again, it's not an inspirational God, but a transformational God. And if we can do that on this platform, then so be it. And
a lot of time, I mean, if we could really look at it as a ministry tool, like you said, but also as a communication tool that goes both ways. Like it could be so powerful because you can put a message out there and say, hey, we have a few people in our church today that are going to be dedicated to praying for your needs. Yeah. Please send us a message. People are wanting prayer. People are wanting God, and so that is just a way for us as a church to communicate with people who will never never walk through your doors, who would never pick up their phone to call pastor and say, man, I need help right now. Or man, my family is starving. We don't have any food. Can you all help us out? So just to making the lines of communication a little bit easier for someone who might not ever consider calling someone for help. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, it's just a great tool, man. And it's not even just a tool. It's just the language of a society now. Mm-hmm. Like, people's grandmas are on TikTok. I mean, on Facebook. Yeah. My grandmother's on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's just that's what it is. You're on Facebook now, and so
your grandfather.
Yeah, but they use it. They use it. They go live and stuff. Like they're learning like this is a tool that we can use, and then people watch their stuff and like interact and like they have more interactions than we do.
No, they're doing great. I mean, they promote their community. Their community food bank.
Yeah. Or like their outreach. They have like they give food out on Saturdays.
Letting people know like, hey, we're here to serve you, and people respond to it because, they're presenting a what is it? Not a need. They're saying if you have a need, we have an answer for you. Come and get it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Like because they can promote it on Facebook or they can promote it in a newspaper, and 2 people show up, and those are the people that already go to church there and already knew what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so you can stick to what you know and what you like and what you're comfortable with. But I mean, if you're really doing this for the glory of God and to reach people, then we need to stretch ourselves and push ourselves in the areas and spaces that are uncomfortable sometimes, Mm-hmm. And like we say, send me, Lord, I'll go. Send me. Where you send me? He says, open an Instagram account. Like, oh no, not there. Not Instagram. But that isn't. I mean, again, that doesn't replace missions. But these are in a weird way. These are places now. Like, again, I'm not saying, oh, I'm an Instagram missionary. No, you're not. No, you're not. Like, that's not what you
Thanks
are.
for clarifying that.
Yeah, because you already know.
It's
you already know what's coming.
One like, it drives me crazy is to go onto a social media account and see the person's name and it's just like prophetess, so and so. No, your name is not prophetess.
That's what, I don't. People here. I'm not a title person, man. People here will call me pastor all the time, and I'm like, Ramon. No, Ramon. Okay, pastor. Like, no, I'm not pastor. I'm Ramon. It's like, what? And then somebody asked me just recently. I guess we were talking because I haven't seen anybody besides you guys. But why don't you like people to call you pastor? Because my mom named me Ramon. That's not. I mean, I'm not against if somebody else likes the title, but that's not my name. So why you need to call me that? So I'm not going to put Pastor Ramon Gore on Facebook anytime soon. I'm not against it if other people do it. that's not my name. So I don't feel obligated to push that. Anyways, that was a sidebar.
Yeah, it was.
Nothing to do with nothing.
Over there.
You just made me,
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying.
Like you trying to throw me.
I'm saying I made that comment.
You derailed the train and go get mad at me when it crashes. Like what? Good grief. Anyways, so Big week coming up for anybody? More quarantine? Have you had enough of quarantine? Are you just done with it?
Yes. It was a difficult one because it's kind of like when this ends, it's like, yeah, we can go out and we can do the things, but I hate going out now. I hate going downtown because it's just you're scared, you're anxious, you don't want to talk to anyone. You like when you're giving change, you're like dropping it into people's hands.
Throwing it.
Yeah, you're like, there you go. Yeah, and it's like when someone doesn't, when someone like yesterday I was out and someone didn't stand 2 meters behind me and I felt so uncomfortable. Like she just came out and I was just like, I'm just going to move forward a little bit, just really. And so it's like, yeah, I'll be excited when quarantine's over, but I'm not going to go out. You know, I'm not suddenly going to go down to the park or go hang out in the plaza and things like that. So
we're gonna start calling you Bubble Boy.
Yeah,
there's a movie way back. Have you heard of or seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
I think that he had a sickness or something. The movie was Bubble Boy, and he had to be in this bubble, and like it was huge, and he couldn't like. I think it was a comedy if I remember correctly, but you couldn't get close to him or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, my day to leave is tomorrow, and I get anxious in the morning. Like I'm not afraid, but you just. You know you're going out and there's a chance that you could get sick, and that's just a weird feeling. You know what I mean? Like it's just a very weird feeling. And so, but I mean, we do what we do. We pray and we take precautions, and I mean that's what we can do. And so, do that, and yeah, and then that's it. So yeah, anything else? You?
Me what?
Anything else?
Oh, to add? No.
Did you not hear me say that before? I said you. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. This is Melinda did good. No acting. If she looked at the camera, she would have been acting. So it's our first video podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. And we're praying for you. We know that everybody's going through a tough situation right now all over the world, and a lot of decisions being made, whether you're a business owner or a worker or a pastor or whatever. There's a lot of big decisions being made, and there's a lot of temptation to make it like those decisions aren't big decisions, right? But they're very big decisions. So we're praying for you and just pray that the Holy Spirit leads you in everything that you do and every decision that you make, and that He also keeps us healthy and safe and protects us as we deal with this stuff that's going on now. But also, please pray for us, and not just us at this table, but pray for us as Bolivia and as people in Trinidad and so on and so forth. There's a lot of need here, and so just keep us in your prayer. And so really appreciate you listening. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you next week. Provecho.